Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Ed. Today I'm going to be giving an update on KTOV. I believe my last update was for the 29th, and it did see actually a little bit of a jump, so that was good. But today I'm going to be giving a bit of more of an update overall. In terms of news, the company hasn't released any new PR. That was highly expected to be at the end sometime very shortly, and just with the delay of the news or no PR really coming out, this is just really trading mostly on technical analysis from this point of view. And it was one of the most dumped stocks from the Robinhood users. So there's a little bit of things here to look at. I'm just going to be going through the technical analysis here. So 10 SMA is still above the 30 EMA, which is good news. The stock has entered the trading action zone, which basically means that there's highly chance of reversal here, bottoming up at a really good support around 0.73. And I'll go through the 1 hour interval to show you where the support's at. The average directional index is a little bit too high at 48.83. So that's not something that I'm enjoying myself, but it's still under 50, so it's alright. It's still considerably, somewhat, still stable. Billion percent R, we get to see that this stock has really bottomed out to somewhere neutral, so back to around the 15th June level, which is pretty good. And that's where we've seen the massive jump. The MACD looks like it's still declining quite a bit, but it's still the MACD line is above the signal line, but it looks like it's getting really closer to perhaps a negative trend, so you need to look into the 1 hour interval in order to determine if the MACD on the 1 hour gives you better news. So going into the 5 days 1 hour period here, we get to see multiple things. We get to see that the MACD here is declining and going towards the positive, and you want to make sure it doesn't do something like this here, where in the morning at 4 or 5 a.m. it goes back towards the negative, but there's still high chance that where you might actually see it jump backwards up and turn towards positive. So that's a very dangerous area to be in, but there's high potential of a breakout, so you need to make sure that you're looking at this closely. The stock price in terms of the 1 hour interval still looks more towards the neutral, closer towards the oversold part. Well, today at some point it was extremely oversold and it did bounce back just a little. So that's a little bit good news in terms of still there's attention to the stock. Volumes haven't been as strong as they were before, but still that's because everyone is waiting for a PR release. And that's a little bit of a dangerous level to be in. However, the stock is still above the 200 SMA, which is a great point to be in, but under the 50 SMA. So it's still considerably neutral levels if you're considering holding and watching the stock very carefully. Going towards the moving average, we get to see that the stock is still above the moving average a little, but it's still considerably very close to touching. So still it looks not a lot of information coming in from the moving average per se, because it has been quite above it for quite a bit. Now my only fear is that this doesn't form an upside cup or a down cup movements here for the pattern. So taking a quick look into the chart here, we get to see, gonna try to draw a bit of new trend lines, and you get to see that the trend line has been broken before. It broke yesterday on the 30th June, and then it just kept following. And even on the bottom trend line, where let's say something towards somewhere right here, it did break that trend line as well. So it's really not trading closer to a trend itself. It's just been somewhat off people being impatient and not giving this one a chance. But at the same time, it could be perhaps somewhat dumping off some stocks that is going on. So you need to be very, very careful. The next thing I'm going to look at here is the Fibonacci retracements levels to try to identify some stronger supports. So you get to see that around 0.80 is a strong support, which it has tested very close to today. The next support on Fibonacci would be 0.65, but I can still see multiple supports around. For instance, 0.77 seems to be a really good support that it tested before, and a resistance that it tested before. So I would say still we need to really watch this into the pre-market. You want to make sure that that MACD reversal actually takes place and it doesn't fall back behind. And so the price needs to still stabilize very close to above 0.85. If it crosses the 0.90 sometime by the end of the market today, that might be a good sign to be in. In terms of the stock itself, it's still above the 50 SMA, sorry, the 200 SMA for the 1 hour period, which is still good. It's still under 50 SMA, so it's a little bit bearish. So there's no new news coming in, but you need to be a bit more vigilant in terms of the PR. If the PR comes out negative, this will really plummet quite quickly. If the PR comes in out positive, which I expect it to be positive, this will perhaps get a bit of a jump. So let's say you bought it around 144. What do you think of doing right now? So what you want to make sure is you want to try to average down a little. Not with all your current positions, so you still need cash as a safety net, but perhaps a good place to average out would be 0.78. And once it reaches there, what most likely will happen is after it retests that support, given that there's no negative PR, it will most likely still bounce just a little bit more. So let's say 144, you buy 0.78. Your average is not going to be as it was before. It's still going to stabilize quite a bit, and it usually jumps after it tests that support first time. So 78 and 144, that will give you an average of 111. So 111 has been seen actually very close to yesterday. So we're not that far off from there. So that might be a good place to try to average out. Now, my hopes is this doesn't fall continuously, because I know that there's a lot of people who did actually buy it a little bit closer before. But as I said before, this was more of a double bottom that has played up. And what you're trying to see is perhaps this doesn't show up to different patterns. But all in all, just be very cautious. Thank you very much. Make sure to mention down, comment below. What do you think about the stock? Share, subscribe, and like. Have a good day.